Welcome back to the Underground Football Podcast, a show where we talk about anything and everything NFL football from underground. Alongside my co-host Jack Priller, I am Mike Maynard, and we're going to jump right into today's episode. But first, Priller, how are you doing today on this lovely Tuesday? How you feeling?
It's a good day to talk about football. I feel like, got nothing else planned in the day. Let's just get talking about football.
Every day's a great day to talk about football. Let's do it. How about it? All right, so we're hopping in with the Week 10 matchups. We're going to do our predictions, give a little insight of what we think about each game, and at the end we'll give our game of the week. And yeah, it should be fun. We'll hop right in Week 10 with the first game happening of the week, Thursday night football. We have the 4-5 Atlanta Falcons taking on the 2-7 Carolina Panthers in Carolina. The Falcons are 3-point favorites in this game, and I am going to take the Carolina Panthers in the upset actually to take this one. They had that rough week against the Bengals this past week and gave up a lot of uh, a lot of yards to Joe Mixon, or touchdowns I guess to Joe Mixon, um, and a lot of points in general. But I think they'll kind of figure it out, and we don't really necessarily know for sure who we're going to see at quarterback for the Panthers. Could be Baker, most likely PJ Walker, but we'll see. But I think if the Panthers can get the ball back on the ground and get Deontay Foreman going, um, and Chuba Hubbard, but get the ground game going a little bit more. That'll help them out against the Falcons, who maybe don't have the best run defense. But Perla, what do you think? Who do you got in this matchup?
I'm actually gonna have to go with the Falcons on this one. I think they played a pretty tight, close game with the Chargers last week, and with them having getting back their lead rusher Cordell Patterson, I feel like this is just something that they've been waiting to happen. So I'm taking the Falcons here. I think Cordell's gonna be a very big weapon in this run game and this whole offense for the Falcons. So yeah.
Yeah, I think this will be a close matchup. We saw the two teams play in Week 8, and the Falcons did come out with a 3-point win, 37 to 34 in overtime. Um, like I said back in Week 8, so the teams went to overtime. It's obviously going to be a close matchup. But yeah, I think either way it goes, it should be a good one here on Thursday night. Maybe not the two most entertaining teams to watch, maybe not the two best teams, but it should be a close game regardless.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
All right, we'll hop into Sunday then. And we have one game much earlier than the others. We have a game overseas in Germany between the 6-3 Seattle Seahawks, and they're calling the home team the 4-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 2.5 point favorites in this game, and like I said, it's in Germany at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. So um, maybe not a lot of people will be up to watch this game, but it should be a good one here between two pretty good teams. I don't know. The Buccaneers have had a rough start to the season, but Seahawks um, have looked good so far, and I'm gonna actually take the Seahawks to win this game as the underdogs, which is kind of weird to look at. Having them be the underdogs at 6-3, playing against a 4-5 team, but I guess nobody wants to bet against Tom Brady, which is fair. We saw him have a pretty good comeback against the Los Angeles Rams this past week. So Tom Brady still obviously got some juice left in the tank, but I think the Seahawks have looked really good. Geno Smith's looked better than Tom Brady this season, in my opinion. Kenneth Walker's taken over that backfield, and DK looks like DK, and the defense with a bunch of young guys has kind of put it together. So I think the Seahawks will pull this one out at 9:30 in the morning, and by the time we all wake up, they'll have another win in the win column.
Yeah, honestly, I'm 100% agreeing with you on this one. I don't know how they're like you said, I don't know how they're underdogs in this. The thing that like kind of confuses me is why the Buccaneers have not really been trying to get Fournette in the run game as much as you would think. I feel like these past couple games he's struggled with like a lot of yards and a lot of carries, like kind of just designing for him. So with the Seahawks struggling a little bit on run defense, it'll be kind of interesting to see if they kind of depend on Fournette overseas. But still, I still got my Seahawks going with the dub just because they're more explosive offense against the defense that's kind of been not really been holding their own.
Yeah, I mean, any week the Buccaneers could kind of get it together and show that that Super Bowl roster or Super Bowl caliber roster that they have, but they haven't really done it up until this point. So we'll see
Yeah.
what version of the Tampa Bay Bucks we get on Sunday, but that should
This
be
is this is
one
a
of the better
team that
games of the
lost
week.
to the Panthers. Let's remind
That
ourselves
is
of that.
true, but they did just beat the Rams this past week, so you got to give them a
The
little credit.
Rams, yeah, I guess. So the Rams like offense hasn't really been looking like to par. Like it's like if like, they don't get Cooper Cup involved, their offense has just
Oh,
been
that's fair.
lackluster. So
100%
it's just
fair.
like
They
it's
don't
kind
look
of
like the
just
Super Bowl
like
champs from last year, you can say that.
yeah. So
But
it's
we'll get
kind of
into the
interesting
Rams, later on in
later
this
on.
episode when we get to their game. Um, but yeah, that like I said, that should be one of the better games of the week. Two good teams, especially if you get a good version of the Buccaneers. Like we're hoping
Hoping
to see
for.
the Buccaneers show up. But who knows? So we'll move on here. Starting the 1 o'clock Eastern games on Sunday. We'll start it off with one of the better games as well here with the 7-1 Minnesota Vikings taking on the 6-2 Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are at home and are 6.5, or sorry, 6 point favorites. Excuse me. Um, and I am actually going to take the underdogs here. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings, and I think I do need to touch on my main reasoning on this is at the moment, we're recording this on Tuesday, November 8th, and Josh Allen did have a bit of an elbow injury in week 9. So we're not 100% sure if he's going to play. He's questionable right now. We'll see as the week goes on. And I think, if Josh Allen's able to play, things look a lot different maybe for my prediction. But the Vikings are a really good team. And even with Josh Allen, the Bills are going to struggle in this one to beat the Vikings. But I'm taking the Vikings, and even if Josh Allen comes back, I'll probably stick with this pick. But you never know. I think um, if he does come back, he'll probably be a little bit banged up. Maybe they won't be throwing the ball as much as they usually do. Maybe not trying to take those deep shots to Gabe Davis like they usually do. So I think you might see a different Bills offense. And the Vikings have looked really good. Obviously 7-1. Um, and the offense has looked solid. Jefferson is still dominating, and him and Kirk are really getting that connection even more and more involved. And you get the ground game going. The defense looks good. So I think the Vikings are one of the best teams in the league, and they're kind of slept on. They're still 6 point underdogs here to the Bills. Um, but I definitely think the Vikings can pull this one out, and that's my prediction.
I'm honestly gonna have to disagree with you here. I think if I'm going with Josh Allen's playing. He's questionable. I'm thinking they sort this thing out. Josh Allen is playing this game. So with that just being said, Josh Allen is obviously we all know him as the athletic superstar himself. So I think he's gonna do what he's been doing and keep this Bills offense just electrifying as ever, and he's just gonna continue to do his thing. So I think no matter what no matter what happens in this game, I think we're gonna see these two offensive powerhouses battle. I don't think there's gonna be a defensive side of the game at all. Rather saying that it's probably gonna be a cold game at Buffalo, I still think this is just gonna be an electrifying offensive game for sure.
That's interesting because both of these teams have pretty good defenses up until
You're
this
right,
point. But no,
but
I
both of them
definitely I
also
definitely can
have
see
the
that.
best
That
offenses.
Yeah, it's mismatches all over the place with Jefferson and Diggs and Dalvin Cook and
Josh
Naheem
Allen.
Hines is out there now. Josh Allen is just a weapon himself. It's definitely an offensive game. So I don't know what the over or under is on this one, but maybe bet the over according to Jack Priller. You never know, but that should be a really good game as well. Back-to-back good games that we've gone over here, but we'll move on to the next one, which might not be as exciting to a lot of people, but you never know. This one is also 1 o'clock on Sunday. We have the 2-6 Detroit Lions at the 3-6 Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears are 2.5 point favorites to win this one, um, which makes sense to me. Home game for the Bears, and they're coming off of a tough loss to the Dolphins, but a really close game, and both of these teams have struggled so far, but the Lions are coming off a win against the Packers this past week, and not that the Packers have looked like themselves, but that still is a pretty good win for the Lions, in my opinion. So I have the Lions winning this one in Chicago. I do have them taking it out. you know, I've been a Justin Fields
Crazy.
hater, I guess you could call me. I haven't been on the wave of Justin Fields being amazing, but I can give credit where credit's due. He's looked really good the past couple weeks, and I just think Detroit has all these weapons on offense, and yeah, they got rid of T.J. Hawkinson, but they got a great culture over there, and I think they'll be able to go into Chicago and pull this one out and get DeAndre Swift going again, get Jamal Williams going, get the ground game going, and then Jared Goff can bootleg off of that and hit him on Ross St. Brown for a couple gains, and I think we just talked about the Vikings Bills game. I think this one will be pretty opposite in offensive wise, I guess I'm trying to say. I think it'll be a low scoring game between these two teams, and I got the Lions taking it out in the nail biter in Chicago.
Again, Mike, I'm gonna have to disagree with you here. I think both these teams have pretty poor defenses. Let's just be honest with that. But I think the
Fair.
Bears just have showed way more fight in their game. I mean, almost beating the Miami Dolphins, who is a very great team in the NFL, and they probably would have won that game if they got a few calls going their way, but you never really know in that situation. But Justin Fields has just been kind of, yeah, he's not been the greatest passer when it comes to like playing football and all, but he's also that's not his play style. This guy will tear you up in the scramble game. He'll tear you up running around. Kind of look at him to just be like that kind of rusher. He's a QB option type of guy. So I mean, I'm saying again, these teams are gonna not really struggle on offense. Both of these teams because both defenses are pretty poor. So I'm expecting. That's why I'm saying that's an over 48 or under 48. Um, I think both these teams are gonna put up a lot of points in this
Really?
thing, but I just think the Bears have kind of shown that they're more of a team that's able to do that. The Lions, they did put up a lot of points in the first couple weeks, but after that, it's kind of been decline. They haven't really been able to do much. And also, let's not forget to mention that the Bears just picked up Claypool, who would be is a nice addition to that wide receiver room over in Chicago, who could definitely help this game.
Yeah, I think you definitely made good points, and I think either way this goes, it should be. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I don't know. You mentioned Claypool. I think the Lions have Jeff Okuda, who's looked pretty. I don't know. He had a few rough patches, but Jeff Okuda's been a pretty solid corner. So far he's kind of had that little career resurgence. And they both don't have
The
maybe the
Bears
best
did just ship out a
defenses,
few. The
but I
Bears just shipped
think
out like their best defensive players, arguably.
yeah, I
So
think I think overall like they don't have great defenses, but at the same time like you look at both or I guess the Lions have a really good offensive line, but you look at the Bears offensive line, that's a huge weakness. You look at the Lions wide receivers and tight ends, that's a huge weakness, and Jared Goff is a weakness. There's weaknesses on the offenses, and I think the defenses will come together to kind of limit the scoring, but I definitely think this could go either way. But yeah, I like your insight. I like your analysis of this game. Okay, we'll
it'll be
move on
interesting. Yeah.
here. We'll hop in with the next game at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. We have the 3-6 Jacksonville Jaguars going into Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 6-2. The Kansas City Chiefs are 9.5 point favorites in this game, so biggest spread we've seen so far, and I am going to have to take the Chiefs to win this one. I think it's kind of just a talent mismatch. I think the Jaguars have looked pretty good. They got that win against the Raiders this past week, and Trevor Lawrence has really looked a lot better this season than he did in his rookie year. But I think you look at the Chiefs roster up and down. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got all these wide receivers are kind of starting to gel really well together, and Mecole Hardman's having a couple good games as of late. I think this team has kind of showed that they can do it without Tyreek Hill, and I think they'll be a little bit too much for the Jaguars offensively, especially. But that Kansas City Chiefs defense is nothing to sleep on, and they've done a pretty good job up until now, getting that win against the Titans in overtime this past week. That was a rough game, but I think they'll deal with the Jaguars pretty. I don't want to be mean. I think they'll deal with them pretty easily, though. I think this will be the Kansas City Chiefs asserting their dominance and taking this one home, at home, for the W.
Definitely want to that at home part. The Chiefs have an amazing like fan site. You know what I mean? Like they yeah, when you're in the Chiefs Stadium, it's real. So I definitely think that that's a clear. And so yeah, I'm gonna obviously agree with you. I think the Chiefs are just gonna like offensively dominate this game. And we're expecting big games out of Travis Kelce. Obviously, their leading receiver on this offense. But I just think the Jaguars offense kind of been stagnant. They haven't really. Travis Etienne has been putting up some good numbers these last few weeks, but again, I just think that the Chiefs are just gonna do what they always be able to put points up on the board. And that's a very important thing in football.
Yeah, I think the key to the Jaguars winning, like you said, would have to be Travis Etienne having himself a really good game. I think keeping the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands is what they're gonna have to do. So if they can maybe get that run game going early, you might see the Jaguars pull this one
Not
out.
fall
But I
down,
think
but yeah.
I think even in a game where you're down by however many points, Patrick Mahomes is never out of it. We've seen him make crazy comebacks and make plays that we've never seen. Yeah, Chiefs will win this one according to the Underground Football Podcast. We
Chiefs
got the
Chiefs
Chiefs winning.
by 50.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll hop in with the next game here. Um, Between the 3-5 Cleveland Browns going into Miami to take on the 6-3 Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins are 3.5 point favorites in this game, coming off that win that we talked about with the Chicago Bears, or over the Chicago Bears. Um, and I'm going to take the Dolphins to win this game as well. The Browns have been kind of surprising at times. They beat the Bengals, I believe, 2 weeks ago. In a pretty easy, they blew them out a little bit in that game, and Jacoby Brissett's looked better than I think a lot of people thought. But I do still have the Miami Dolphins taking this one out. I think Tua has kind of showed that um, he's a starting caliber quarterback, and we had our whole predicting the top quarterbacks in the NFL episode before the season where we had our special guest Quack on, and he was calling out that Tua was going to be, I think he said, a top 12 quarterback, and we kind of tore him a new one for that, and didn't let him hear the end of it, but he was right. I got to give him credit, and he Tua's looked good, and I think a lot of it does have to do with the weapons around him. Obviously, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have looked great. They brought in Jeff Wilson from the 49ers, who looks like he's kind of going to be the starting running back now, which is kind of interesting. I thought Raheem Mostert was doing a pretty good job, but they like what they saw. So I think the Dolphins have looked really, really good offensively, and as long as they can keep Myles Garrett away from Tua, I think they'll have a pretty good chance at winning this game at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. The only thing that's the reason why I'm a little bit hesitant on this is just because I think that the Browns are gonna do what they've been needed to do for a little while, just keep feeding Nick Chubb. I mean, this guy has been able to put the team on his back in situations when it's so I think that they're gonna rely on Nick Chubb in this game a little bit more than we're expecting. So I'm still gonna go with the Dolphins just because the Dolphins have been able to obviously again offensive focused team has really been able to put up a lot of points, and so I obviously I'm gonna have to. It sounds like I'm just like broken record here, but they're just gonna overpower this team. I mean, there's nothing else to be really said about it. But I think a key Browns being able to maybe win this game is to be able to keep the ball out of the Dolphins' offense and be able to run the clock, keep that time of possession up on their favor, which is kind of what you seen the Bears do when they're a very run heavy team. Like they're a very run heavy team, so they kind of try to keep the ball out of the Dolphins' hands, which almost worked for them. But a few calls went their way. So yeah, I still got the Dolphins this game, but that's just kind of like a key to watch with the Browns.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on it, but that Dolphins offense is just so explosive. So, you know, giving them any chance with any time left on the clock or whatever you're trying to do. Like Tua and the offense with Tyreek and Waddle with so much speed and big playability can really kind of take over a game even when it looks like they're out of it. So the Browns
Even
are
that,
definitely going
even
to have to
the
keep the ball on the ground.
like the creativity from like the offense. Honestly, we some stuff from this offense from this new head coach that we haven't really seen that much. So it's kind of something different in the NFL and a little more creativity.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick a head coach signing of the offseason that was, the best, I'd probably say Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins has done a really good job. He came in and immediately you can see that Tua has changed and the whole offensive scheme has changed obviously, but you can see the guys care and they really believe that they can do well and win and I think the Dolphins have looked really good, and I think they're going to continue, and it sounds like you do too. So we got the Dolphins taking this one
Yep.
in Miami. All right,
Oh Lord, not this next game.
we'll move on to the next game, which will be a thrilling one. I can't wait for this one. I know you can't either. We have the 1-6-1 Houston Texans going into East Rutherford, New Jersey to take on the New York Giants, who are 6-2.
NFL team.
Huh?
How are they even an NFL team? This Texans.
They got one win. Leave them alone, man.
Continue. Continue.
So yeah, the Giants are. Before I was so rudely interrupted, the Giants are 6.5 point favorites to win this game. Um, and not even gonna go too deep into it. I have the Giants winning this one. I think the Texans kind of put up a fight against the Eagles this past Thursday. Um, but I think this is kind of just like I said with the Chiefs game and even a little bit with the Dolphins game. It's kind of a talent mismatch. You see the Giants uh, have basically a better player at almost every position, and another great head coaching signing was Brian Dable with the Giants. They've pulled out a bunch of close matchups, um, and obviously 6-2. They've had a pretty good season to start. So I think Saquon Barkley will probably have let me make a prediction here. I'm going to say 200 yards and 2 touchdowns for Saquon Barkley. There's
Oh
my
wow.
prediction for this game. I think they won't need to pass much and keep the ball on the ground, run the clock out, and get out of there with a win. Not that you're getting out of there, but get out of your home, your home, your home stadium with a win. But yeah, I got the Giants taking this one against the Texans.
Yeah, 100%. The Giants are a very lucky team, and I just don't think this Texans really has any fight with them. But I mean, the Texans, let's be honest, they not on their offense with Dameon Pierce. I think they continue to show this man some love. Get him his 20 whatever 20 plus carries a game. Definitely gonna see their offense putting up a little bit of points or definitely some production. But again, when you just talent mismatch, I mean, Saquon Barkley is obviously an elite superstar. I mean, Daniel Jones has been playing poor, so that is very bright spot of the Giants offense. So I think with these two guys kind of meshing together and having their differences, like being able to obviously yin and yang together, you know what I mean? Like with their they what is the word I'm looking for, man? Uh, I don't remember, but they're good. Oh, God, I can't remember. Hold on. They're just good together. Okay, that's the best way to put it. They work together very very well. I can't think of the word I'm
And
trying to
this
think of,
is
but they
Saquon and
mesh.
Daniel Jones.
And Daniel Jones, like
Okay.
that, yes, they mesh together very well. That
They're
is just
yin and
something that they
yang.
do. And also from watching the Seahawks versus Giants game, they do some interesting things. I'm up at Wildcat and let him kind of run these read options, which we kind of been seeing in the NFL a
That's
lot
that
more. So
Brian Dable offense. Pretty
yeah, I don't
creativity.
know. It's been something interesting that to watch. So
Yeah,
definitely
they
got the
gotta get him
Giants
at
by a lot this
quarterback and
game.
let him throw a couple like Christian McCaffrey.
Oh no,
No, that's an
that was
offensive
a
scheme right
fluke.
there. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't want to discredit the Texans
had a
for not having a
stroke.
chance here. I think definitely this is not a bad matchup for the Texans. Um, I'm getting a phone call from Louis Liberty. Interesting. I have no idea who that is. A random number's calling me. But Sorry.
Shout out to my boy Lewis.
Yeah, shout out Lewis. Lewis, should I answer? Yo, want to be on the podcast?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Back to it. I think the Texans do have a good matchup with the Giants. Like, if the Texans are going to win their second game of the season, I think the Giants are not a terrible matchup for them. Because they can get that ground game going
Yeah.
with Damian Pierce, like you mentioned, and I think that's really their you know what am I trying to say? God, neither one of us can think of what we're trying to say. That's like the key to
Also to
them
think
winning this
though,
game is getting the ground game going with Damian Pierce, and hopefully Brandon Cooks comes back for them. I don't know. We don't
yeah, I don't
necessarily
know
know
about
what happened with that. He definitely seemed like he was a little bit pissed off that he didn't get traded at the deadline, and then he didn't play. Um, so
which
we'll
anybody would if
see.
you're a part of the Texans.
We'll see. Yeah, we might have another Deshaun Watson holdout, but instead it's Brandon Cooks. Who knows? But yeah, Giants.
Hey, it worked.
We got both of us have the Giants taking this one. Let's not go into Deshaun Watson right now. It's for another time. We could do a whole episode on what's going on over there. But okay, we'll hop in with the next game. The 3-6 New Orleans Saints are taking on the 2-6 Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh has a home game here in Pittsburgh, and the Saints are actually favored by 2.5 points. Um, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to take this one in the upset. I think, you saw the Saints, excuse me, in this past week's Monday Night Football game, lose to the Ravens, and their offense did not look good. I think Andy Dalton's kind of, I was looking before the show. God damn, I was looking before the show, and the fact that Jameis Winston is healthy and not playing, and they asked the Saints coach Dennis Allen if he was going to go to Jameis Winston after this past Monday night game, and he was saying no. The offense just had a rough night. I don't want to blame that on our quarterback, like nothing like that. So, looks like he's going to stick with Andy Dalton, which I disagree with. I think he should go with Jameis Winston. I think he's just the better guy. So whatever, that's besides the point. But I do think the Steelers will pull this one out. I think they have Kenny Pickett, who's a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. I think um, the defense has been solid for the Steelers, and I think they'll be able to keep this rough, not rough, but the Saints have been struggling a little bit and offensively, and the Steelers have been struggling offensively too. I think it'll be a defensive game, but I think the Steelers will pull this one out at home, especially. I think Steelers will come out with a win.
Um, the only I'm just gonna say I disagree with you. I think that the New Orleans Saints are definitely a better football team, while like well-rounded football team, to say this to kind of I do think Andy Dalton is probably going to get benched this game, maybe at like a halftime adjustment type thing, or maybe just plays poorly, and then we kind of see like that Bill Belichick where just like Zap just gets thrown in type stuff. So I think that really could definitely happen this game. The Saints did lack trying to get Alvin Kamara involved very last game, so I definitely think that they might kind of lean on him a little bit more, definitely to see more production out of them. You said Kenny Pickett is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton, but I don't know. I just disagree with that because of like pure just statistics this year. I mean, it's just like it's kind of blatant. I mean, this guy Kenny Pickett thrown 2 TDs to 8 interceptions. That is horrible.
Well, he's
So
he's
just
he's
like
struggling. I mean, yeah, but you
I
got to
mean, like
look at like his surrounding
that is
cast. His offensive line has been a little bit rough, and um, Andy Dalton doesn't look good either.
yeah,
I'm
you're
not
right.
saying Kenny Pickett's this amazing quarterback. I'm just saying if I was picking one for this game, who would I rather have? And I would say Kenny Pickett. So it could go either way with
That's
the
fair enough.
quarterbacks. They're
Steelers
pretty interchangeable.
The Steelers' offense though has just been kind of lackluster. Like Najee Harris, who we thought coming into this league or this year was just gonna like kind of blow it up like he was doing last year, hasn't really been able to go. So it's just like
Yep,
that.
Luke
That
Keegan's
itself
still
is kind
going
of
in
sad.
fantasy.
Yeah, that's kind of to kind of see that not be able to kind of take hold. And the receiving game, they did just face Claypool obviously like last week, so
I
that
think
kind
that
of hurts
was
them.
that
But
was a
you know,
good move for them though. I think if you look at that trade, like
it is for the
they
future.
they have George Pickens, they have Deontay Johnson. Claypool was not getting he wasn't getting the volume that you want out of a guy that's worth a second round pick, which was basically a first because the
Yeah.
Bears are not going to have a good record at the end of the season. So, going off a little bit, but I think that was a good trade for the Steelers. I think they they took Claypool in the second round, I believe, and getting a second rounder back for him when he's good. He maybe wasn't as good as they had hoped when drafting him, but he's a solid receiver, and I think he just kind of had gotten pushed down the depth chart. And I do think it was a good move though, and give George Pickens more time to grow with Kenny Pickett especially. Um, and
Hmm.
I think it'll be a good thing, and it is a loss, but I really think it's not as it doesn't affect the Steelers as much as, some people are thinking it will.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just kind of get
But yeah,
back to
back
it.
back to back to your prediction. Go ahead.
I'm still taking this here in this game. I definitely think that their defense is going to show up. I think Pickett's
Wait,
going to throw an interception.
you're taking the Steelers or
What?
the Saints?
Oh, I meant the Saints. My bad.
Yeah, yeah,
Did I
okay.
say Steelers?
I think
No,
so.
yeah,
It's
Saints.
okay.
I think Pickett is gonna. Yeah, I think Pickett's gonna throw his intercept. I think he's gonna throw more interceptions. Give the Saints defense excited for, and hopefully picks equals touchdowns out of the Saints offense. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Alrighty. We'll move on here. Last game of the early window on Sunday. We have the 3-5 Denver Broncos going to Tennessee to take on the 5-3 Tennessee Titans. The Titans are 3-point favorites. But you look at this game, the records are reversed: 3-5, 5-3. I got the 5-3 team, the Tennessee Titans, taking this one out. Not 100% sure if we're going to see Ryan Tannehill, but he was kind of a last minute um, what do you want to call it? Not like a scratch, but he was a game time decision this past week, and obviously Malik Willis ended up playing in that game um, against the Chiefs, and they almost won. They went to overtime, and I believe in like the first half, Malik Willis had only completed like a couple
Four
passes,
passes.
and end of the game he only finished with 5 completions. So I think you get Ryan Tannehill back in that Titans offense, they look a lot better, and the Broncos have been struggling a lot. So Russell Wilson has not looked like himself. Obviously, I mean it's well documented how the Broncos have kind of not lived up to expectations. So I won't go too deep into it, but I think the Broncos just got rid of Bradley Chubb, who was maybe their best defender. Um, and, I just think the Tennessee Titans have Derrick Henry, get him going, pound the rock, and, Tannehill coming back would definitely help this offense as well. Not that, going back to that predicting the top quarterbacks in the NFL episode that we did before the season, I was not a big fan of Ryan Tannehill, but he can get more than 5 completions a game, like Malik Willis did. No offense to Malik Willis, of course, but he's more of a veteran guy who knows what he's doing and has been in that offense for a few years now. So I think getting Tannehill back will definitely help, and I think they'll get the win at home here against the Broncos.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I'm sticking with the Broncos country. Me, Broncos rat. But I'm going. Russell Wilson's gonna have a great day. I think he's gonna be. I think we flashes of what we've seen in Seattle with him for sure. The Titans defense has been playing great, and to be quite frank, on the opposite side of the ball, their receivers. I mean, they're zero. Like, let's be real. Like, no, the Titans receivers definitely like have not been performing to what I've seen for this offseason. Um, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The Broncos pass defense pretty solid. So I just think that if the Titans were to win this game, it's going to be on Derrick Henry's shoulders. I mean, I obviously has been known to get a million carries a game and kind of try to put the team on his back, but last week where he tried to do the same thing and it didn't work out against the Chiefs. So I'm kind of predicting like a similar situation. The Broncos probably are going to be able to do their thing and lock up their offense and, hopefully do his thing and get his receivers the ball. So I got the Broncos winning this game for sure.
It's a fair point. Fair point. We'll move on. Hopping in the late slate of games, 4 o'clock Eastern. Um, We have the 3-5-1 Indianapolis Colts taking on the 2 and
Disappointment.
6 Las Vegas Raiders. This game is in
Disappointments.
Las Vegas, and the Raiders are 6.5 point favorites. And I do have the Raiders winning this game. Obviously, I don't know if you're saying disappoint. Were you saying disappointments?
Just they both just have not been performing as well as everybody thought.
Okay, yeah. So, going off of that, the Raiders have been a team that a lot of people thought were going to make a big splash this season. Obviously, in that AFC West, they were thinking, and they, including me, a lot of people were thinking, you have Devontae Adams now, you brought in Chandler Jones, you still have Derek Carr, you still have Josh Jacobs, you still have Max Crosby. Like, there's a lot of superstar talent on this Las Vegas Raiders team, but I don't know if it's Josh McDaniels as a new head coach. I don't know what's going on, but they haven't been able to put it together. They lost to the Jaguars this past week, 27 to 20. Not a good game. Um, and you talked about both teams, the Colts as well. They have not looked good. They had to bench Matt Ryan for the rest of the season. Sam Ellinger's in now, and they put up 3 points this past week against the Patriots. These two teams are not living up to expectations, and even with the lowered expectations, they're still progressively disappointing people. So I think it might not be the most entertaining game to watch of the week, but I do have the Raiders taking this one at home. I do think it'll be a closer game than 6.5, like the spread's saying. I do think both teams, like I said, have been struggling, so it's not really going to be like one team dominating the other, but get Devontae Adams the ball, and good things will happen. So hopefully it's better than I'm planning on, or not planning on, but hopefully it's better than I'm explaining. But yeah, I got the Raiders taking it at home.
Yeah, I'm 100% agreeing with you on this one. The Raiders definitely have more weapons, so to speak, for sure, with Derek Carr and just Devontae Adams and just their whole offensive unit. Definitely has talent to be good in this NFL league. But I mean, just kind of what you brought up, 3 points last week against Patriots. I mean, that's kind of just like you're kind of expecting. I don't really agree with like the decision to bench Matt Ryan, even though he has been playing very poorly. I mean, unless they're just going for top pick in this next draft to get a QB. But Sam Ellinger definitely has not been playing. Yeah, I guess hope for. I don't know if they're expecting to win games with this guy, but he has definitely not been playing good. And to touch on it, Jonathan Taylor has not been playing good, which is kind of a big reason of why this team has been so lackluster. We expected Jonathan Taylor was kind of tearing the league a new one, but this year he just hasn't been able to get as much. So I still got the Raiders in this game for sure, just because of sheer just talent issues.
Yeah, and I do want to mention with Jonathan Taylor, he's been a little bit banged up, so that's tough on him. The offensive line hasn't been playing up to what they have been, so that's part of just the Colts not having a great season, and the Raiders have kind of had a little bit of a different story in the running back spot, where Josh Jacobs has kind of turned into what
Working it.
what they took in the first round. They were hoping, so he's been really good. So yeah, we both got the Raiders taking this one, which makes sense as 6.5 point favorites. Okay, we'll move on. Next game, also in the late slate of games on Sunday, we have the 6-2 Dallas Cowboys taking on the 3-6 Green Bay Packers. This game will be in Green
I think
Bay
they're
at
calling this
Lambeau
one.
Field. What'd you say?
I think they're calling this like America's Game of the Week or something like that, Veterans Day or something like that. They're calling something like that.
Huh.
I'll get back to you on it.
Makes sense. I mean, two historic franchises. Maybe not living up to that title this year for especially one of them, which I will get into. Right now, I guess. Why not? The Green Bay Packers have
Yeah,
looked really bad so far. They just put up 9 points against the Lions this past week in a loss, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like the MVP, the back-to-back MVP. He doesn't look like even half of what he has the past couple years, and The Cowboys, I believe, are coming off a bye week, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but regardless, they had a win in Week 8 against the Bears, and they put up 49 points. Um, which the Bears' defense isn't great, but that's impressive nonetheless. And I think when you look at the Packers having struggled on offense and they don't really have the wide receivers for Aaron Rodgers, I think right now I'll go off on a little thing. If the Green Bay Packers don't offer Odell Beckham Jr. I don't even know how much money, a lot of money, I think they're very dumb. I think he would, give somebody for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. I think it's a no-brainer. I thought they should have got Julio Jones before Julio Jones signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Um, and I think they should go for Odell Beckham Jr., who apparently is now healthy. We'll see what happens with that, but I think you bring Odell to the Packers, that changes this offense at least a little bit. But for this week, no Odell, no win, in my opinion. I got the Cowboys, who are 5-point favorites, if I didn't mention that already, taking this one on the road. Um, and, I think Dax looked pretty good. Offenses look good. You got one of the better defenses in the league. Micah Parsons is keeping up with his this amazing beginning to the start of his career. And, yeah, I think the
Yeah.
Cowboys are just a better team, and I think they get the win.
Yeah, just to touch on what you were saying, I do got the Cowboys winning this game, but yeah, the Packers have been playing terrific, to be honest with you. Their receivers cannot figure it out. And I mean, like you can blame Aaron Rodgers, yeah, because he has some bad throws and stuff like that. But I mean, this guy is coming from a guy who's used to having Devontae Adams on his side of the. So when he that huge drop off when you go from Devontae Adams to guys like Allen Lazard and Dobbs or Dubs or whatever, it's kind of very difficult for him to kind of like adjust, even with him being a great quarterback. Um, but I mean, the Cowboys' defense has just been playing amazingly. So I don't see this game at all. I think he's going to be under pressure. I think his receivers are going to be getting locked up, and I think that the run game's going to be closed. Just kind of just the defense of Dallas has just been amazing. So. I think Cowboys are going to have way with things, and kind of Tony Pollard's going to keep going on his tear of things, and CeeDee Lamb's going to keep getting open. He's been doing so. I got the Cowboys winning this game by, I mean, minimum at least a touchdown.
Hmm. Minimum. Interesting. Alrighty.
You'd
Moving
be
on.
very surprised this Green Bay team get put up 8 points in a game, 9 points in a game. You'd be very surprised when it happens.
I think it's fair. I definitely do. All right. Moving on. We have an NFC West matchup between the Arizona Cardinals, who are 3-6, against the Los Angeles Rams, who are 3-5. The Rams are at home for this game in LA, and they are 3-point favorites to win this one against Arizona. I do have the Arizona Cardinals winning this game. I think the Rams have really struggled so far. I mean, both teams have. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but I think the Cardinals have looked a little bit better the past couple of weeks, and DeAndre Hopkins has been a very welcome addition to this offense. Especially, you had Hollywood Brown the first what was it, 7 weeks, something like that, before going down with
Yeah,
injury.
something like that.
And he was great. He was doing a great job being Kyler Murray's number one target, and luckily for the Cardinals, they have D Hop to kind of take over for that, because it's a big loss there. But I think the Cardinals have, like I said, DeAndre Hopkins has been great, but Kyler Murray is just he's been better than Matthew Stafford this year. I think James Conner's back healthy-ish. I mean, he's still a little banged up, but you saw him come back this past week, I believe, and uh,
Hmm.
I think he'll get it going more as he can kind of heal up and get better. But I think the Cardinals kind of have the right matchup for the Rams. The Rams with Aaron Donald on their defense. Kyler Murray's that guy that can get away from him. So even if he's getting through, get him out of the pocket, get him away from Aaron Donald, and let him make plays. And I think the Cardinals pulled this one out on the road.
I'm gonna, I'm on the kind of gonna talk about it and then maybe make my pick at the end. But Cardinals
Sure.
have been great. Obviously, Kyler Murray's been kind of doing the
Whoa,
thing.
whoa, whoa.
Definitely,
Cardinals have been great.
definitely, I would.
3-6.
I mean, like, playing solidly. I personally am on like it's the head
For
coach's
sure.
fault, and I've been doing as well. And
Agreed.
no,
Cliff Kingsbury
they've
got
kind
to
of like
go.
culture issues. They've kind of had some culture issues though, to be honest with you. Like seeing them play against Seahawks, I'm a Seahawks fan if anyone on the podcast didn't know that, but seeing them play against Seahawks, they've kind of made some errors, and they were kind of getting after each other. They were kind of like falling apart as like a team on the sideline. So just seeing that as like a kind of like a issue, I think the head coach kind of needs to address that and kind of bring them together. That's just like something the Cardinals have been struggling with. It seems like in these past couple of weeks. The Rams, you mentioned Stafford. Stafford seems to playing as well. I feels like it as a person who watches some of these Rams games, it feels like they've been looking at anybody else on the field but Cooper Kupp, which is kind of sad if you're a Rams fan because you got these other wide receivers, great, honestly, like solid wide receivers, and they're just not even like being targeted as much as like Cooper Kupp, which and some people may say that's valid because Cooper Kupp is such an amazing person, but you got to spread the rock around. They're going to be obviously keying in on Cooper Kupp being the number one guy of that Rams offense, which he is. Spread the love a little bit. Hopefully, give your team the best chance to win. But I think it comes to defense, and I'm just gonna have to go with the Rams on this one, just because the Rams defense has been playing, better. They gave up that last, 40-second touchdown to Tom Brady last week, but they've been playing better than what I think the Cardinals have been playing this past couple weeks. Cardinals, I guess, give them, but Cardinals have been playing solid. They have had, I think, like a couple. They've had a few touchdowns on defense this year, which is kind of pretty impressive. But I still got the Rams winning this one for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think the Rams have the edge defensively, but I think they just haven't really been able to put it together. The Rams on paper look like a great team, um,
They do. They
but it
really
just
do.
it hasn't really worked out. So I don't
Cam
know.
Akers back this week too. I think he's been practicing. So
That's if we even see
maybe
him
get
that
him.
much. I don't know. Sean McVay's
Yeah,
kind of
maybe
been
get
a
him some carries.
Cam Akers hater as of this
Yeah,
season. I don't
I don't
know
really.
what's happened, but
It's, it's
whatever.
been weird for sure.
All right, we'll hop in to the big one. Sunday Night Football. 5-3 Los Angeles Chargers at the 4-4 San Francisco 49ers. Um, the 49ers are going to be at home for this one in San Fran. They're 7-point favorites as well to win this game, which we were talking before the show. Is kind of surprising to both of us that you know this matchup between the Chargers and the 49ers is so split with I believe it was DraftKings odds that we were looking at. With San
Yeah.
Fran being 7-point favorites. Like I don't know, it seems a little bit much. So maybe bet the Chargers against the spread, but I'll get into it. So I think the Chargers obviously have the better record than the 49ers as well, at 5-3. But I think San Fran's looked like the better team as of late. They're coming off a bye week too, which helps. And you saw basically one game with Christian McCaffrey in this 49ers offense, and there was no Debo Samuel in that game, and the team lit it up, dropped I think it's 31 points on the Rams in Week 8 before the bye, and I think with more and more time for Christian McCaffrey and this 49ers offense with Kyle Shanahan drawing up the plays to kind of mesh well together. I think it'll all come together more and more and more. And I think it also plays into the fact that the Chargers have not looked great just this whole season, really. I mean, 5-3 is not a bad record, but when you look at some of the games that they've won and lost, it's kind of you look at it with a little bit of a I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's a little bit of a shady 5-3. Um, they
Hmm.
did just beat the Falcons this past week, barely. I mean they won 17 to or 20 to 17. And I'll give credit. The 49ers did lose to the Falcons, but I think this 49ers team has kind of had a lot of new life brought in with Christian McCaffrey being obviously the big guy, the big man on campus. I don't know what you want to call him, but I think this will be a fun game to watch. I think both teams will be showing off their superstars. Obviously, you got superstars on defense with the Bosa brothers on either side of each other, trying to get after each quarterback. But I think I got the 49ers pulling this one out at home on Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. I think the 49ers definitely, with the addition of Christian McCaffrey, definitely have been an offensive unit to just kind of watch, and they're kind of being spectacular, to be honest with you. Um, the Chargers, like you saying, poorly, but it's kind of like I don't know how to explain it. That's kind of like a weird kind of to say, but because like the Chargers have been missing their wide receiver one for, most of the season. He hasn't been healthy really any games. But we also Mike Williams is I think injured. But we've seen
Yep.
Palmer step up last. That's kind of nice to see someone else kind of taking the torch and kind of trying to lead this receiving room. But if King comes back healthy, whenever he does, hopefully he comes back this week healthy. And I think Palmer a nice addition or a nice like addition with him. I definitely think that's gonna be a closer game than a seven for sure. But I'm taking the Niners just because the Niners definitely their offense definitely looks like it could put up more points than the Chargers right now.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going with the Niners for sure.
I think
On this one.
they're almost. I don't know. I was gonna say they're similar teams, but I'd say
They
defensively
are.
they're pretty similar. You have, some superstar talent with, like I said, the Bosa brothers and Khalil Mack and Fred Warner and these guys, um, filling out with a bunch of solid role players as well. And then, the offenses have really good running backs with Austin Eckler and Christian McCaffrey. And if Keenan Allen comes back, which I believe Mike Williams is definitely out for this game, but there's a chance that Keenan Allen comes back, and that could definitely help the Chargers offense. But I think Justin Herbert hasn't looked like himself uh, this year, and throw Christian McCaffrey in at quarterback, and you got the best offense in the league. But that's besides the point. Um, yeah, 49ers are winning this one on Sunday night. We both got it. You heard it here. And yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Moving on.
it
Oh,
like
go ahead.
hold up. It looks like they're out again. It looks like Allen's
Keenan
out
is
this game.
too.
So
Wow.
yeah, that's what it's looking
Has
like
he
on
played
somebody's
yet? I don't.
somebody's
Has he
website.
played in one game? I don't know if he's played in a single
Hold
game
up.
yet.
I'll look it up. But yeah, just let's talk about Austin Eckler has been playing amazing this year. So I mean,
Yeah, he had that rough
it's gonna be
start, but
he's kind of been, yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how they kind of use him. Obviously, you see 49ers kind of probably keying in on him being, a matchup. Obviously,
I'm sure
being like
Fred
their number
Warner
one.
will have Austin Eckler in his eyesight all night.
I'm just yeah, but like, I'm for sure about. It's just kind of interesting. He's like kind of like their number one receiver ish like type of guy. Like I don't know. He's just been making plays. That's the best way to put it. He's been making plays on this offense. So
Yeah, and they've
if the
needed him too
49ers,
because of the injuries at the wide receiver spot.
yeah, I don't. I think Keenan Allen's only played 2 games.
2 games. Interesting.
Two games. Two games.
And
But
Brian
hey, I mean,
Robinson
he's
got
been
shot
targeted.
and he's played more.
But
All right.
the games that he has
Um,
played, he has had 6 targets for 6 receptions. So
interesting.
he probably will not play, but that's still I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think either
It's
way,
rough.
the 49ers have the edge in this one, and we'll pull out the win.
Being at
So,
home too, you said?
yes, in San Francisco
Yeah,
on
for sure.
Sunday night.
They definitely have the edge here. They
Yep.
definitely.
All right. Last game of the week. It's crazy, the time flies when you're having fun. Last game of the week. Monday Night Football. The 4-5 Washington Commanders taking on the undefeated, only team left, 8-0 Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. Now, it's not like we really saved the best for last, unfortunately, because this one is probably going to be an Eagles win pretty handily. That's what I have at least. There are 11-point favorites in this game. Um, and I just have the Eagles winning. I think honestly, I've seen a lot of people calling the Eagles frauds. I don't see it. I see, Jalen Hurts has looked way better than I ever imagined, and a lot of people ever imagined. And the offense as a whole has been great. You know, AJ Brown has looked like the trade of the offseason right now. He's, turned into one of the best receivers in the league. Um, and him and Jalen Hurts are growing that connection every single week. And you got Devontae Smith on the other side, who is maybe the best number two receiver outside of. He might be. I don't know. I mean, you got guys like T. Higgins and Jalen Waddle. I'd probably give the edge to Waddle, but Devontae Smith is up there. He's a great wide receiver too. Dallas Goedert's been an amazing tight end. The offensive line has been great. Miles Sanders has been great. The defense has looked great. With Darius Slay on one side, you got James Bradbury on the other side, and it's I could go on and on. This Eagles roster is loaded up and down. I think there's no reason to be calling these guys frauds. This is a undefeated team for a reason, and the Commanders are they're 4-5. Taylor Heineke has come in and he's done all right. They lost to the Vikings this past week, and it was a close game, but I think the Eagles are a better team than the Vikings. I think the Eagles right now, I mean, I don't see who is better than the Philadelphia Eagles roster wise. I mean, I think the Chiefs and the Bills
There's a
are the
few.
only two teams that really compare
Yeah.
at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the Eagles will pull this one out on Monday night. I got
Definitely.
them winning over the Commanders at home.
Yeah. To obviously agree with you here. I mean, it's kind of just like a mismatch, honestly. Commanders have not been playing. They haven't been good, and I don't think this has been a great matchup for them. Obviously, with the Eagles being in, no, I think this is a good game to throw on the background because the Eagles are gonna just mop the floor with the because they're just been playing great, and Jalen Hurts has been playing like probably one of the now, arguably. So it's gonna be kind of hard to see the Commanders try to hold him. I just got the Eagles winning this game for sure, definitely. The 11-point favorites is not something that's not that's definitely real. They're definitely 11-point favorites in this game.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, especially being at home. Um, those Philly fans are something. They're not to be messed with. They can show out and they can climb up telephone poles or whatever they do. I think that's what they do. Not telephone poles, but like the street lights and stuff like that. And
The
I think
polls.
I think the Eagles fans are gonna be pissed off that the Philadelphia Phillies lost the World Series too. They're gonna be excited to get back in the win column with the football team
For
now.
sure.
All right, we'll wrap it up here with our games of the week. I'm kind of
Hold up, do you want
between
to talk about
two.
the teams on buys?
Sure. Do you
Patriots
know off the
and the
top of your head?
Jets.
Is it just Patriots and Jets?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Patriots and Ravens.
Huh?
Patriots, Jets, Bengals, and Ravens.
Okay. Patriots, Jets, Bengals, Ravens. Um,
Yeah. I just touch on that. I just wanted to mention that to
oh yeah, I think, you just saw when did it was the Jets and the Patriots played not last week but the week before, I believe. Yeah. Regardless, the Jets just got that big win against the Bills, so they gotta be happy
Mm-hmm.
going into this bye week. And oh, what do you know? They come out in week 11 and the Jets play the Patriots. Isn't that something? All right, well that should be a good game. Both teams coming off a bye, both teams coming off a big win. The Patriots just beat the Colts 26-3, and the Jets just beat the Bills 20-17. So that's actually pretty funny. That should be a good game. Um, and then the Bengals just had their big win against the Panthers, 42-21 over in Week 9, and then the Ravens just had
Just
a
one.
game against the Saints on this past Monday night and won 27-13. So all teams going into the bye with a win. The Ravens will come back in Week 11 and play the Panthers, and the Bengals will be playing the Steelers. So um, we'll get back to those teams after the bye, but I'm sure they're all happy to be going into the bye with a win, and the Jets and the Patriots get to duke it out again right after they're done. All right. Anything you got to mention
Yep.
on the bye week teams, or you good to go?
No, but yeah, it is very interesting. I mean, it's nice that all these teams have gotten wins to go into the bye week for sure, and none of them. I don't think any of them are really banged up as much. That's something to note and kind of be
Well,
happy about.
the
If you're
Ravens
fans
with
of this.
Rashad Bateman being out for the year, but that's not really going to be helped by the bye week, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But all right. Now we'll finally wrap it up. With our games of the week, I'm kind of still between two. I'll mention both. Okay, so I'll go with my initial thought of game of the week. Was the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Buffalo Bills. And the only reason that I'm not super confident in that is because of the Josh Allen injury and me just not being sure if he's going to play. And so I think if he plays, that would be my game of the week. I think it's the two best, records in this week that are playing against each other. You have a 7-1 team in the Vikings against the 6-2 team in the Bills. I think that'll be my game of the week. I think it should be really competitive as long as Josh Allen's playing. Um, but if that doesn't happen, then I'm going to switch my game of the week to Sunday Night Football between the Chargers and the 49ers. We touched on that a good amount with the running backs being superstars, with the defenses having a bunch of superstar talent, the wide receivers being, if Keenan's back, then having superstars at wide receiver, and Justin Herbert is obviously very fun to watch, and we want to see this new 49ers offense. I think that'll be a fun game to watch, a good Sunday night game. So, yeah, I guess I have two games of the week between the Vikings and Bills and the Chargers and 49ers, but I'm curious to hear what your game of the week is, Priller, for week 10.
Since you kind of said that, I'm gonna kind of mention that. I kind of have two as well. I have the Viking, what you touched on. That definitely is a very good game of the week to kind of have in like an honorable mention deal. If Josh Allen does play, that's for
Mm-hmm.
sure gonna be a very exciting game with obviously you mentioned two very good. But for my game of the week, I'm going with the Seahawks Buccaneers game. I definitely think that this could be a very nice matchup. Definitely, I could see this going either way. I could either see this being a low scoring game, both defense kind of doing great, holding their offenses to their own. But I could also see this being a high scoring game with Tom Brady kind of staying, maybe, putting up some points and Leonard Fournette kind of getting involved in this game. And obviously, the Seahawks kind of have, I think, I want to say top 5 points in the league over these last few weeks. Definitely this is going to be a nice high scoring game. It is at 8:30 in the morning, so or at 9:30 in the morning Eastern time, so definitely not a game that everybody's going to want to watch because they might all be sleeping in on a nice
Hey, well,
Sunday.
you're saying maybe it's
But
worth waking up.
it is. I definitely think that's definitely could be worth waking up for. And maybe while you're eating your bowl of Apple Jacks, you never know. This
All
could be
right,
a
you
game to
heard it here from
have on in
Priller.
the
Don't get
background.
too wasted on Saturday night so you can actually wake up and watch this game on Sunday. There you go.
Get your bowl of Cheerios and watch. Sure, it's definitely gonna be a nice one.
Alrighty, well, I think there's a good amount of good games this week. I won't touch on all of
For
them,
sure.
but there's definitely some interesting ones, and there's some blowouts like we touched on with Monday Night Football, but I think there's definitely some good ones here, and this will be a fun week of football to watch overall.
Definitely.
Alrighty, well, if you're all set, I'm all set. We can wrap it up here. Um,
Yep.
Thank you so much for listening. We had a great episode. We should be back for week 11 to give our week 11 matchups. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening to the Underground Football Podcast, and we will see you next time.